It's February 21st, 2014, and this is Earth Prime Weekly.
I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Welcome back to another episode of Earth Prime Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Halpin.
And I'm Dan Halpin.
All right, let's get into it. Big week for comic books and comic book movies alike. Danny boy, what happened this week? What is the biggest thing to drop?
Guardians of the Galaxy trailer debuted on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, Jimmy Kimmel debuted he was the first to debut the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer.
Yeah.
I think he's got a little bit of a little, not a fight going on, but that time slot right now on ABC and NBC, you got Seth Meyers who's going to be taking over the Late Show. Mm-hmm. So I think they're trying to gun for the ratings, and you know what? Jimmy Kimmel friggin' did it because this was nuts on Twitter and on the internet.
Yeah.
But the trailer itself, I loved it. I think a lot of people thought it was kind of dull. What do you think of it?
Well, when I first saw the teaser for the trailer, I just kept sitting there all day. It was the day that it was going to premiere on Kimmel, so I kept watching it, right?
Yeah, to clarify, they had a 30-second trailer. Not even 30 seconds, 15.
A teaser
trailer, to the trailer, yes.
You notice that's the new thing?
Genius.
That people tease. It's not really. It's ridiculous. Awesome. But you notice that they tease the trailers now.
X-Men did the same thing, too. They teased the second,
there's
third trailer, whatever they were coming out with.
That's what not Disney, that's what they're doing now, apparently.
It's cool.
But
people are getting pumped about the trailers. Yeah. That's what's awesome.
But anyway, so I'm watching it in class, and I'm just sitting there going, these graphics look really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
They look phenomenal. And I'm thinking, I don't think this is a movie that any of us have ever seen before. You know what I mean by that?
I mean, graphics are great, and the people who work in CGI do brilliant work. But at this day and age, there's no excuse for the graphics not to be perfect. Yeah, there's no excuse for it to ever look any less than Jurassic Park.
It looks really good. Like I kept saying, Avatar good. You know what I mean?
Yes, it looks really good.
Which, that's what happens when you break, down a wall in, the climb for better effects and shit like that.
Well, you got characters in it who actually, Gollum-style characters from Lord of the Rings, Rocket Raccoon and Groot, who are all going to be motion capture.
And then
you have to make them believable.
Batista, something's going on with Batista.
He's got a good amount of makeup on, I think. I think digital editing comes in after that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's different. But he's not completely being built on a computer, as opposed to
Rocket
Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
He doesn't need to be.
But that's the thing. So now you've got to make us believe this is a movie where a raccoon and a giant tree monster are the main characters in the story.
Yeah.
So you've got to sit there and you've got to believe them. You've got to believe that Chris Pratt, who was playing Star-Lord, Peter Quill, is actually talking to a small raccoon, which is already hard to believe in the first place. But, and again, he looks, from what I can tell, from what I've seen of the comics and what I can tell from this trailer, it looks like they're hitting it on the nose, man. And it's straight up my alley, man. This is my style of movie. This is exactly what I want. An outrageous sci-fi action / comedy, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't take itself too damn seriously, like all these comic book movies seem to do.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. You could tell that from the trailer. I mean, for fuck's sake, Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, flips off the cops while he's behind the screen. I love it, man.
Well,
it's hysterical.
Noticed, I'm sure you all noticed the new song in the intro for today.
Yes.
That song alone gave it this whole different feel because the teaser didn't have that feel. The teaser was very, powerful and kind of serious. It's funny.
It starts out that way, though. It starts out, it almost sounds like the Dark Knight Hans Zimmer score style.
The new boom.
It comes in boom, boom. And then it starts in and immediately goes into a comic tone. And I'm Star-Lord. Who? Come on, Star-Lord, famous villain, galaxies. It's hysterical because the best part about that is because, let's face it, Guardians of the Galaxy isn't necessarily known like Spider-Man or Superman is.
Yeah,
I've
never heard of it.
It's in comics speaking, it's relatively new, I guess you can call it.
It's important because it fits in because their story. It really is good because their story fits into the events leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet, or maybe after. I don't remember exactly. But
well, that's what I think. I think the thing is they're supposed to tie it into the Avengers. So it's been said. We'll see what happens. I think it's great.
Well, yeah.
Why not, man? I would love to see that.
Yeah, we were just talking about this like right before we got on, and because you're really excited about the continuity that is being created through all these movies.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And the universe they're setting up. But for me, I feel like it ruins some movies because why not just have different universes? Why do we always have to tell two stories? Why can't it never be one story? There always has to be three of a movie.
Well, because we've done the separate universes in the comic book movie industry, and it's great, and they've always made money. But look what the Avengers did. They made one single continuity, and people lost their mind over it, and it was great. It was extremely satisfying, too, to finally see a movie, these comic book movies cohere with each other. Whereas I think Batman Forever is the first time they actually mentioned Metropolis in a Batman movie, but they never show Superman, but at least they hint that it's the same thing. But they never brought the characters together, and who doesn't want to see them all together? And to bring them together, you have to have a set continuity for them.
You know what I think usually the problem is, especially with Batman and Superman, is that, if there's something that Batman's doing, like, that's really testing him, it might not be that hard for Superman to do. You know what I mean by that?
Absolutely. Which is what the big thing about this movie coming up, the Batman Superman movie.
But I feel like in this movie coming up, well, here's the thing, though. There's that mutual respect between Batman and Superman. We talked about it the other day. I was asking you about Red Hood and the Outsiders and yada yada, and you're like, well, anyways, Gotham is Batman's territory.
He doesn't let anybody else walk all over it.
And Superman respects Batman's abilities to be like, he's right. What happens in Gotham, unless Batman asks for my help, and vice versa, you know what I mean?
What really works well in No Man's Land, the Batman series, where basically there was an earthquake and Gotham City's closed off from the world. You could see a little bit of that in The Dark Knight Rises. The idea there is a part where Superman comes and he's saving people, but he takes out Mr. Freeze, and when he takes out Mr. Freeze, an entire city neighborhood loses power. And Batman says to him, and while this doesn't necessarily pertain to the movies because it won't be No Man's Land, but it's kind of the same idea.
Kind of like bliss ignorance, but go on.
So Superman comes and he takes out Freeze. And now you have this whole neighborhood that loses power, and Batman comes in and says, you don't understand. They may be villains, but there are currently people who are relying on them.
Yeah.
And again, not necessarily going to pertain to this next movie, but the idea is the same. The same is that Batman is the only one who knows how to handle these types of villains.
Yeah,
because there's a different. It's not a villain who's come just to destroy the world or destroy a city. It's a little deeper than that. It requires detective work, hence Detective Comics.
But that's always been a part of Superman's character. Like I said, it's kind of that bliss, that ignorant kind of bliss. That he's doing a good thing is what at least he thinks, but. Like I said, like you said, he affected all the people who were relying on the things that Batman probably couldn't give everybody in the city. So,
but again, it goes back to the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers in general in the universe because. They're all pretty damn even.
It's really impressive.
They're all really even. I mean, you have the three strongest ones, besides the Hulk, who doesn't count because the Hulk is the strongest, no matter what you say.
Yeah.
When you have Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America duking it out in the forest.
Yeah.
They're all even, and I love how nobody wins that fight.
Nobody
wins that fight. They all eventually just kind of nail each other at some point.
Yeah, everybody just
and they all go
gets
down.
Their own, everybody gets cold cocked one after the other.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So that's why the Avengers work so well because everyone's on that level. But then again, with the Batman Superman movie, you have that dynamic where you have the most powerful being on this planet put in with technically one of the smartest humans on the planet, and it's a great dynamic, which I think is why the Batman Superman movie will work very well. But again, why the Avengers works well, same thing.
I see. But I do think Batman is, I guess, maybe smarter than Superman. For me, like I always feel that because of the way Superman generates, he gets fuel from the sun and shit. Like he's also very smart. I've always because he kind of sees the world in a different way, just on an atomic level, I guess you would say. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So he's I always take
it's
him
a
as-
different type of intelligence.
When Grant Morrison portrays him in All-Star Superman, he is very he's laid back. What would the strongest? Nothing in the world can hurt Superman. So how would he feel? Would he be uptight? Nothing in the world could hurt him.
When you're saying Superman's walking around like a stoner, like, hey, ain't
No,
gonna hurt
well,
me.
yeah, he would be very laid back. You know what I mean? And very calm
Very
about
chill.
things.
Superman generally
You
is
know.
pretty chill. That's kind of the role he has to take. He's got to be that person for people to rely on who doesn't lose their head or lose their cool.
They haven't always portrayed that, but when Grant Morrison really took him like that, it was awesome. But anyways,
Well, to finish that thought right there, Grant Morrison, the end of All-Star Superman.
kills him.
Again, we're not going to go that deep. But when Lex Luthor gets, again, spoilers, when Lex Luthor gets Superman's abilities and he can think like Superman and he breaks
can
down,
see like
he
Superman.
breaks. No, he can think like Superman.
Well,
He breaks down after he loses the power. He says, "No, give it back. I need it. I saw it. I saw how to save everyone. I know how to save everyone. We're all connected, whatever." And that was so deep. Like a human, what would a human mind do after it had just thought like Superman for a moment, a short period of time, and after it's taken away from them, it's like taking meth away from you, or like a drug addict. You know what I mean? They need it. They need it back.
Well, it's a long story, so I won't tell it. But I know you know that's based. That scene right there is based off Grant Morrison's trip he took to Kathmandu that he always talks about.
Yeah.
It is
You can hear all about it on the podcast with Kevin Smith.
So
Batman on
and that's what
Batman.
that is, and it is awesome. But you know what Superman says right after Lex Luthor has that nice little monologue there? What's he say? Lex, you could have saved the world a long time ago.
Oh,
If you wanted to, man.
Grant Morrison, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a good dynamic that I hope they kind of take up with Lex Luthor, because it's like that in Rock of Ages by Grant Morrison. At the end, there's a bunch of people who have been killed in the story, and at the end, like they can kind of make like one more wish, use the power for one more thing, and Lex Luthor tells them, "Let's bring back all the people we killed." Why? Because he says that he didn't want to go to jail, right? If we don't kill anybody, then we didn't do anything wrong. Superman goes, like, I know that's what you want me to think, Lex, but I know deep down inside you never want any of those people to die. Because he was working with the Joker.
Exactly.
And shit. It's such a long story, but...
Like, we can't get into it anymore
same
because we
writer.
have a lot of things to cover. But while we're I was going to save this for later, but while we're waist deep in it, the Batman-Superman movie.
Go ahead.
It was literally rumored maybe 3 hours ago that Cyborg may or may not, and again, rumors, may or may not be in the Batman-Superman movie, most likely as an appearance, maybe as just Victor Stone, maybe not Cyborg yet.
Yeah, who knows?
But, again, I like it. Get him in there. Get him in there, man.
Like we just talked about, it's really amazing what Marvel has done creating their own universe. And now, for me and you who are really big DC guys, that's what we kind of want now. I want to see the universe. Because because DC, it can be done. And you know what? They're doing it.
It can absolutely be done. But again, like I said, when I saw the Avengers for the first time and I got chills as the Avengers logo was rolling on screen after Nick Fury standing on top of the busted helicopter or whatever. And I'm sitting there, and my first thought in my head was, what if that had said Justice League?
Yeah.
And that's what comes being
That's
what comes being a DC fanboy. But another thing I really wanted to get into about the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this goes back to being a DC fanboy. When I say Guardians of the Galaxy is something that I really want to see and is right up my alley. I'm a big sci-fi buff. I like the weirdness of it. I like the comedy of it.
Yeah.
It's for me, man. This is exactly what I want. And I haven't read Guardians of the Galaxy.
Neither have I.
I mean, it was relatively unknown to me until maybe a couple years ago. And so here's what I want to get into. So I love it. I wish I would have been reading it.
Well, I like what you said, that it doesn't take itself seriously. That's the best way to put it.
Exactly.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, so like, again, I'm a DC fanboy. I read DC comics.
Yeah.
I watch the Marvel movies, and I have a huge appreciation for them. I pick up Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Spider-Man for me is like Batman to any other Marvel fan. But here's the thing. So you can't... People are always ragging who DC's better than Marvel, Marvel's better than DC, fights back and forth, people talking shit about each other's comics. First off, we're all comic fans, we all read the same things, love each other, man. Come on. Second though, when you are biased, you're now censoring yourself. You're not even censoring, you're inhibiting yourself from reading these other great stories because you want to stick to a certain publication, because you have that certain loyalty. But look, because I did that, I have never read Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I'm seeing this and I'm saying, wow, why haven't I been reading Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
So people out there, you can't be biased. Take it all. It's all comics. It's all great. You just got